All right, so good day, everybody. So, we will be having our next or new lesson for the subject multicultural diversity in the workplace. But before that, I'm going to give you a short or mini task for today. So, the task that you're going to do is stop, look, and listen. So, all you need to do is focus on the PowerPoint presentation and the discussion, and you're going to see and check all of the globe spread to my PowerPoint presentation. So at the end of the discussion, you're going to comment below on the comment section the total number of globe that you've counted during our discussion. So are you guys ready? All right, so let's proceed with our discussion. So, our topic for today is Introduction to Multicultural Diversity. Okay, so for the learning objectives, at the end of the lesson, you will be able to define multicultural diversity, understand its importance in today's interconnected world, explore its historical roots and evolution, identify cultural dimensions and their implications, recognize the role of globalization in shaping diversity in the workplace, and last but not the least, connect concepts to hospitality and tourism. All right, but before we move forward with the formal discussion, these are the key concepts that you should be able to understand in order for you to deepen your understanding and comprehension with our succeeding discussion. Okay, so these are the key concepts that you need to understand and analyze. So, first is culture. So, ano nga ba yung culture? So, based on its definition, culture means the shared values, beliefs, norms, customs, language, and artistic expressions that shape the way a group lives. Okay? Or, so in short, when we say culture, these are the actions or the things that we are doing from our day-to-day life. So in short, ito yung mga bagay na nakasanayan natin gawin or natutunan natin from our previous generation until to the present. So there are some culture that we are very familiar here in the Philippines. So some of those culture, for example, is a fiesta. We celebrate different kind of fiestas from different months of the year. So ano ba yung mga example ng fiestas? For example, Sinulog Festival, Dinagyang Festival, ano pa ba? Valenciana Festival, Pahiyas Festival. So those are part of our culture, the festivals. Another part of our cultures is yung bayanihan, 'di ba? Yung bayanihan is very popular here in the Philippines. Okay? We also celebrate different occasions such as New Year or Chinese New Year, so on and so forth. So those things are part of our culture. So if you know other cultures, you can comment your answer on our comment section. Next is ethnicity. So ano nga ba yung ethnicity? So when we say ethnicity, it is a group's shared heritage often linked to ancestry, history, language, and tradition. So when we say ethnicity, it's about where your family comes from and the traditions passed down through generations. So ibig sabihin, ito yung pinanggalingan nyo or yung mga ninuno nyo or kung saan kayong grupo belong. Okay, so ano ba yung mga example ng ethnicity in the Philippines? We have Tagalog, we have Ilocano, we have Cebuano. So those are some of the different ethnics um, with their own dialects, their own customs, and their own traditions. So that doesn't mean na all of us are living in the Philippines, we have the same culture. So meron pa rin tayong iba't ibang kultura base doon sa ethnicity natin. Okay? Or kung saan tayo belong na grupo. Okay? Next, we have identity. So when we say identity, it is how a person sees themselves and how they are recognized by others. So in short, or in a simple terms, it is who you are. Okay? So sino ka? How do you see yourself or how others see you? So meaning these are the combination of qualities, your beliefs, your personality, your own experiences, or your group memberships. So those things are the factors or characteristics that makes you unique. Okay? So for example, your personal identity, ano ba yung pangalan mo? Ano ba yung hilig mo? Ano ba yung mga values mo or ano yung mga life choices mo? Okay? Another example ng identity is your social identity. How does society sees you? Or ano ba yung participation mo in the society? What's your identity? Saan ka ba belong? Ano ba yung nationality mo? Ano ba yung religion mo? Ano ba yung profession mo? Or ano yung identity mo? Okay? So, meron din tayong another part ng identity like cultural identity. Okay? What are the traditions, languages, and customs you connect with? Okay? That's also part of your identity. And last but not the least is inclusivity. When we say inclusivity, it is the practice of creating an environment where everyone, regardless of background, feels valued, respected, and able to participate fully. So in short, when we say inclusivity, you are belong to any situations or every situation despite of differences. Okay? Meaning, you have the same opportunities, you have the same privileges, okay? Fairness and equity among everybody. Ibig sabihin, lahat ay kasali, lahat ay included, lahat ay belong. Kahit pa iba-iba kayo ng kultura, iba-iba kayo ng identity, or iba-iba tayo ng ethnicity. Okay? So I hope these are all clear. So we have culture, ethnicity, identity, and inclusivity. Okay, so to begin with, first is let's tackle about cultural diversity. So based on its definition, it refers to the presence of a variety of different cultures within a group or society, encompassing differences in ethnicity, race, religion, language, social customs, and more. So ano nga ba yung cultural diversity? So pasimplihin na lang natin yung kanyang definition. So when we say cultural diversity, it is simply means that having many different cultures living or working together in the same place. Okay, so meaning sa isang workplace or sa isang organization, there are a lot of people working together but they have different cultural backgrounds. Okay? Bawat isa sa kanila merong iba't ibang lingwahe, merong iba't ibang tradisyon, merong iba't ibang nakasanayan na pagkain, paniniwala, and way of life. But they are interacting with each other and sharing this culture with one another. So, yun yung ibig sabihin ng cultural diversity. From its root word diverse. Pag sinabi nating diverse, iba-iba or pagkakaiba. So, cultural diversity meaning people with different cultures working together in an organization or in a workplace. For example, in the Philippine tourism industry, a hotel might employ Filipinos, Japanese, and Australians. They serve different dishes from different countries, and they welcome the guests from all over the world. So, in short, merong cultural diversity kasi sa isang hotel in the Philippines, there are different nationalities working, okay, or interacting with each other. Okay, so that's what we call cultural diversity. Next, ano naman yung tinatawag nating multiculturalism? So pag sinabi nating multiculturalism, it is a social approach or policy that encourages the coexistence of multiple cultures within a society, promoting equal respect, recognition, and participation for all cultural groups. So, meaning, class, in simple term, it is a way of living where different cultures are accepted or nire-respeto natin. And we allowed each and everybody to thrive together in the same society or in the same workplace. So, ibig sabihin, sa isang society or sa isang komunidad, merong iba't ibang kultura na ng mga tao na nagtatrabaho or nakikipag-communicate with each other. And lahat sila merong karapatan to express themselves. All of them are being respected and accepted. Okay, so lahat ng traditions, lahat ng languages ay ina-accept at nire-respeto ng bawat isa. And all of them, even though meron silang pagkakaiba-iba, when it comes to their culture, lahat ay may kakayahan na umangat or umasenso based on their actions or based on their skills. Okay? So, in addition class, it's not just about having cultural diversity. So, lagi nating tatandaan, it's about embracing it and giving all cultural groups equal opportunities to share their traditions, their language, and belief. Okay? So, dapat lahat ay merong equal opportunities, dapat lahat ay pantay-pantay, and everybody should be um, inclusive or belong to that society despite they have different culture. So example, in Canada, you'll find different Filipino festivals na sineselebrate pa rin because we have a lot of Filipino immigrants there. Another one is we also practice yung mga Chinese New Year parades, lalo na sa Binondo, okay, or sa mga Chinatowns. We also have Indian Diwali celebrations and Italian food fairs. So, ibig sabihin, all of these traditions and cultures are enjoyed and supported by people of all backgrounds. Kahit hindi ka Indian, you celebrate with Indian festival. Even you are not Chinese, you celebrate with Chinese nationalities. That's what we call multiculturalism. Okay? Now, what are the importance of multiculturalism and cultural diversity in the workplace? Bakit ba mahalaga nating malaman yung kahalagahan ng pag-accept at pagrespeto sa iba't ibang kultura na meron tayo in our organization or in our workplace? So una, it promotes respect and understanding. So you always remember that in a multicultural workplace, we have to encourage our employees to appreciate cultural differences and treat one another with respects. Why? Because it reduces biases or prejudices. It fosters strong relationships both within the team and with the client. If we are accepting that we have different cultures and we have different way of life, then magkakaroon ng harmonious relationships yung bawat empleyado in the workplace. Okay? Next, we have encourages innovation and creativity. So, when it comes to innovation and creativity, when people from diverse cultures shares ideas, they bring unique perspectives that inspire new methods, products, and services. So, ibig sabihin, sabi nga nila, two heads, okay, is better than one. Okay, so kapag mas maraming nationalities or mas maraming culture in one organization, they came from different backgrounds, they have different experiences, they have different way of life, way of thinking and creativity. And if you have a lot of those things in your organization, it creates or it fosters innovation. So, mas maraming nag-iisip paano ba ma-enhance or mai-improve yung organizations based on their skills and creative idea. So, for example, you are working in a coffee shop or in a restaurant and um, you see or you notice that the cafe owner hires a barista from Italy, okay? Na nagtuturo ng mga bagong coffee making techniques. So, imagine magkakaroon kayo ng different perspectives when it comes to creating different signature drinks na pwedeng maging bestseller doon sa inyong company. Kasi nga, there are new employees with different ideas or creativity. Okay? Next is supports social harmony and cooperation. So, diversity promotes teamwork by showing that differences can be strengths. Okay? Employees from different backgrounds learn to collaborate effectively, creating a harmonious, productive work environment. Okay? So, when you are well aware and you are well open when it comes to cultural diversity in the workplace, then you're going to have a good relationship and rapport with your teammates. But not only with your teammates, together with your customers or co-employees as well. So, for example, you are working in a resort, okay, and yung staff is from the different provinces in the Philippines and abroad. They help each other during a busy wedding event, making sure everything runs smoothly. So it enhances um, collaboration technique with one another. Since they came from different diverse backgrounds, they generated various experiences, then they can collaborate and work harmoniously to make sure that the project becomes successful. Okay? So next, enhances customer relations or satisfaction. So you always remember that a diverse workforce understands and responds better to the cultural expectations of different customers. So, lagi niyong tatandaan that our customers have different preferences, needs, and wants. And when we have cultural diversity in the workplace, then we have also different understanding of those needs and preferences. And this understanding helps us to build trust, loyalty, and stronger relationships with our clients. So, for example, you are part of a travel agency and you were assigned or you are assigned to become a tour guide because you can speak both English and Mandarin for a mixed group of tourists. So, since marunong kang magsalita ng English and Mandarin, it will be fitted to your clients, okay, which is Chinese. So, that's why having cultural diversity in the workplace enhances customer and client relations because if you can communicate with them using their language, then you can break the barrier when it comes to communication and you can easily understand and um, what do you call this, connect with each other. So, hindi ka magkakaroon ng challenges or barriers on how to communicate with them because you came from different background as well na align doon sa background nila. Okay? Next, another one is expand global competitiveness. So, a culturally diverse workforce equips an organization to compete in the international market with employees who understand different languages, traditions, and customer preferences. Businesses can provide products and services that appeal to a wide variety of clients. So, meaning, if our employees have different culture or backgrounds, then yung pool of expert or yung pool of talents, merong iba't ibang skills, competitiveness, and competencies yung mga empleyado. Given that, kapag merong mga iba't ibang competencies and competitiveness yung mga empleyado, then uh, we can compete with global market. Kasi nga, we can create a competitive products and services that catches different clients' preferences, needs. Mabibigay natin yung mga gusto nila and we can exceed their expectations. So for example, a Filipino hotel can hire or hires multilingual staff, iba't ibang empleyado na marunong magsalita ng iba't ibang lengguwahe so that they can attract more international guests and compete with different global brands. Because if you really want your brand to become globally competitive, syempre, ano ba yung mga i-hire mo? 'Di ba? So, you are also hiring different or multinational people. Okay? Para diverse yung culture ng organization. Next, strengthens communication skills. So, it is very self-explanatory, class, that every time that we are going to interact with our colleagues and customers from different cultures, natutulungan tayo nito na maging adaptable and sensitive when it comes to their communication style, 'di ba? Syempre, hindi naman tayo pare-parehas ng nakalakihang dialect or language, 'di ba? But when we are communicating with our colleagues with different cultures, nationalities, and languages, mas natututo tayo. 'Di ba? For example, you have a workmates that are Korean. 'Di ba? They can teach you how to speak Korean. Workmates that are Japanese. Okay, so they can teach you how to speak Nihongo. And hindi lang din yon. We will also, or we can also learn to adjust our voice based on its tone, our body language, our gestures, our choice of words. Okay? Na nakakatulong para mabawasan natin yung mga hindi pagkakaintindihan. And on a positive note, mas nagke-create pa to ng mas welcoming environment. Okay? Kasi nga, sa bawat words or phrases na natututunan natin, which we use on our day-to-day work actions, so mas nagkakaroon ng light ambience in the organization. Okay, so for example, you are a front desk agent and natutunan mo nang i-adjust yung tone and gestures mo kapag nakikipag-usap ka from different countries. So mas nagiging clear din yung conversations nyo sa isa't isa at mas nagiging friendly din yung nabibuild nyong relationships or interactions. Okay? And next, it improves problem solving. So, we are well aware that diversity brings together people with unique perspectives and approaches to challenges. Totoo naman yun, di ba? Iba-iba tayo ng way kung paano natin isolve or solusyonan yung mga problema. And kapag nasa uh, multicultural workplace tayo, since yung mga empleyado natin ay iba-iba, then they also have different approaches to challenges. 'Di ba? So, you can collaborate with each other, you can generate more innovative solutions, and you can decide or respond more effectively to unexpected problems. Kasi nga, hindi lang naman isa yung perspective na nakikita natin. There are a lot of minds thinking for a solutions for the organization. That's why it improves problem solving. Mas marami tayong naiisip na solutions dun sa mga nai-encounter nating challenges. So for example, when a group of tourists misses their connecting flight, nagwo-work ka sa airline, merong mga turista na miss yung connecting flights nila. So, yung staff from different cultural backgrounds, 'di ba? Iba-iba kayo, galing kayo sa iba't ibang kultura, way of life. You work together to quickly arrange alternative tours and accommodations. 'Di ba? Ay, sige tulungan natin sila. Marunong ako maggawa ng itinerary. Ako naman marunong akong mag-create ng booking from the hotel. O sige, ako naman yung gagawa ng booking sa car rental nila. O sige, ako naman yung magbo-book ng meals nila. Sige, ako naman yung magre-rebook ng plane tickets nila. See, since you came from different backgrounds, you have different experiences, you can work closely together to solve a single or a problem. Okay? Next, last but not the least, attract top talents. So, companies or organization that embrace multiculturalism are seen to be inclusive and progressive. So, meaning they accept all nationalities with all backgrounds. And this reputation draws or nakaka-attract ng mga top talents or mga skilled professionals from different backgrounds, from different parts of the world who also value respect, equal opportunity, and cultural appreciation in the workplace. Okay? So, for example, in in Shangri-La Hotel. Okay, Shangri-La is one of the big hotel brands not only in the Philippines but also abroad. 'Di ba? They have inclusive and multicultural workplace. Okay, they attract skilled chefs, managers, service staffs from different countries. And all of those people want to work in a respectful and diverse environment. Okay, so these are the importance of multiculturalism and cultural diversity. Moving forward is historical context. So, kailan ba nagsimula ang cultural diversity and multiculturalism? Okay? So, these are the timeline of cultural diversity. Okay? So, let's discuss one by one. First is on the early 20th to mid 1960s. According to it, homogeneous and discriminatory practices yung meron. So meaning, during this era, workplaces often lack diversity. So wala masyadong acceptance when it comes to different backgrounds or culture. So, yung leadership and staff being dominated by a single group. Isa lang yung kinikilalang grupo or kultura. Depende kung saan ka nagtatrabaho. Wala ring masyadong training programs, walang rules, walang policies, and walang accountability measure when it comes to cultures. That's why there are a lot of issues when it comes to bias, inequality, or cultural sensitivity. That's why during this era, um, nagkaroon ng marginalized groups. Okay, so nagkaroon ng exclusion, unequal opportunities, and limited career growth. Kasi nga, hindi nila pinapractice yung inclusivity and diversity in the workplace. Sobrang taas nung um, cases ng inequality and biases. Some of the example of this is, for example, in the early years of the hospitality industry, yung mga hotel sa US, hindi sila nag-hire ng mga color as front desk agents or managers. They only focusing on white people or the same of their races. Also, nililimit din nila yung mga low-paying housekeeping jobs, okay, regardless of their skills. Meron naman sa mga kumpanya, yung mga kababaihan na overlook sila for leadership. Ang tinitingnan lang nila is kalalakihan lang yung pwedeng ma-promote or magkaroon ng mga executive roles or exclusive lang to men. Sa Asian naman, foreign workers faced prejudice. So, kapag Asian ka, ang baba ng ino-offer sa yung mga salaries compared dun sa mga locals kung saan ka nagtatrabahong bansa. And unfortunately, way back before din, yung mga LGBTQ plus friends natin, napipilitan sila na i-hide yung identities nila sa trabaho. Kasi nga, walang mga rules and regulations sa company when it comes to anti-discrimination, when it comes to inclusion programs, so on and so forth. Next, pagdating ng mid-1960s to 1990s, so tumaas na yung legal and social pressure. So, ibig sabihin, sa dami ng biases and unequal opportunities na nararanasan ng mga empleyado or ng mga workforce, so nagkaroon ng iba't ibang rules and regulations, mga batas na itinatag para mapangalagaan at cover yung mga karapatan at kapakanan ng mga empleyado. So, in the Philippines, there are several landmark laws na naipasa to promote yung fairness, inclusivity, and worker protection in the workplace. So, one of the best example of this is yung RA 787 or the Anti-Sexual Harassment Act of 1995. So, itong batas na to ay nagpo-prohibit or nagbabawal ng sexual harassment sa trabaho, sa education, sa training environment. Okay? So, it ensures that employees, especially women, are protected from unwanted advances or abuses of authority in the workplace. So, for example, hotels in the Philippines, strict policies and reporting mechanism to protect employees from harassments among their supervisors, co-workers, or even clients. Another one is yung Anti-Age Discrimination Employment Act. 'Di ba? So nowadays, before kapag you age 30 or above, nahihirapan na tayong makahanap ng trabaho, 'di ba? But nowadays, itong batas na to, it prohibits discrimination in hiring, training, promotion, and retirement based on age. So, ibig sabihin, it recognizes both younger and older to work, ensuring opportunity in employment. So, nowadays, there are organizations that are accepting employees like our senior citizens, um, employees age 40 and above, so on and so forth. So, meron ng equal rights when it comes to employment. And that doesn't mean na ikaw ay senior citizen na or nasa middle age na hindi ka na pwedeng ma-promote or hindi ka na pwedeng maging supervisors or manager. Okay, so this covers you from discrimination. And last but not the least is yung occupational safety and health standard. So ito, napakaganda ng batas na ito, yung OSH Law of 2018. So this law strengthens the safety and health standards in workplaces, requiring employers to provide safe and healthy working environment. It promotes respect for workers' rights regardless of their positions, background, or industry. So, for example, um, various hotels, airlines, restaurants ensures na yung mga staff ay mag-undergo ng safety training. They provide protective equipment like what do you call this? Hairnet, um, gloves, and other designated protective equipment. Meron ding nakadesignate na safety officers sa bawat organization to prevent workplace accidents. Okay? So next is focus on education and inclusion. So you see, habang tumatagal, habang nag evolve yung organization or yung workplace, nagkakaroon ng different trainings. Okay? And these trainings emerge with different approaches kung paano ba natin ma-address yung biases, stereotypes, and discrimination. So, on our next discussion, we will discuss fully and deeply ano ba yung biases, stereotypes, and discrimination. So, this, in this training, yung mga programa na ginagawa, ito ay merong objective para mapataas yung sensitivity ng mga empleyado at saka yung awareness nila sa mga cultural aspects when it comes to the gender, age, and other differences in the workplace. So, yung goal nito is hindi lang para ma-prevent yung conflicts, but it also promote respect and collaboration among the same groups. Okay? So, yan. Um, Another example when it comes to focus on education and inclusion, yung mga BPO company in Manila, so nagkakandak na sila ng mga cross-cultural training for agents so that they can better understand the accents, the communication styles, and expectations of their international clients. Because, di ba, aware naman tayo na when you are working in a BPO company, you are having an interaction with different nationalities. 'Di ba? That's why BPO companies are very open when it comes to cross-cultural trainings. Okay? So sa mga hotel naman, especially in the future when you become part of the hotel industry, bago kayo sumabak doon sa formal work, syempre meron mo ng orientation, meron mo ng training sessions. And isa sa mga training sessions na ginagawa sa hotel is yung training or seminar when it comes to cultural etiquette. Kasi nakakatulong ito sa mga empleyado to better understand how does different cultures work hand in hand. So, tinuturuan sila ng greeting styles, yung mga dietary restrictions, yung mga religious sensitivities para mas ma-improve yung guest experiences and ma-avoid yung cultural misunderstandings. Okay? So, imagine through these initiatives, yung diversity, it shifted from being just a legal requirement to becoming a strategic advantage. Okay? So, mas na i-strengthen niya yung employee engagement, yung innovation, and yung customer satisfaction. And now, from the present or to the present, so over the years, class, yung day programs or yung tinatawag nating diversity, equity, and inclusions ay mas naging common sa iba't ibang organization. Unlike in the past where diversity was only about hiring people from different background, ngayon yung day, ine-emphasize niya na yung accountability. Meaning, yung mga kumpanya ay responsable na sila sa paggawa ng iba't ibang batas, ng iba't ibang actions na fair and inclusive among all of cultural backgrounds. Okay? So, pag sinabi kasi nating diversity, it means having people from different backgrounds. While equity, it means giving fair opportunities and support that everyone has what they need to succeed. And inclusion, as we discussed kanina, meaning it creates or creating workplace where all feel respected, values, and able to contribute fully. So bakit ba natin mahalagang malaman yung day or why it matters? Because it ensures equal opportunities for all employees. It promotes fair treatment and prevent discrimination. And it helps companies become more innovative and competitive by bringing different perspectives to organizations, right? So it also builds positive workplace culture where employees feel safe, respected, and motivated. So you see the evolution of workplace diversity emerge from way back before up until now. But always remember that innovation when it comes to cultural diversity is a continuous process. Hindi siya natatapos. Okay? So that's why organizations are keep digging strategies on how to become culturally inclusive and sensitive. Okay? So those are the history of cultural diversity. Now, let's proceed with the different cultural dimensions in the workplace. Okay? So, yung cultural dimensions in the workplace, ang susundin natin or I'll be going to discuss is yung theory ni Hofstede. Okay? So, sino ba si Hofstede? So, si Hofstede ay isang social psychologist. Ang buong pangalan niya ay si Gert Hofstede. So, na-identify niya yung 6 key dimensions of cultural uh, diversity in the workplace na dito idinidiscuss niya paano ba na-shape or ano ba yung iba't ibang kultura na meron sa isang organization na ginagalawan ng iba't ibang workforce. Okay, so ano yung anim na dimension theories ni Hofstede? So we have power distance, individualism versus collectivism, masculinity versus femininity, uncertainty avoidance, long-term versus short-term orientation, and indulgence versus restraint. Okay, so we have the first one is Power distance. So ano ba yung power distance? So according to its meaning, it is the extent to which less powerful members of society accept and expect an equal distribution of power. So it means that it describes how people in a society or organization view inequality in power. So meaning, pag sinabi nating power distance, it depends, okay, whether the people will accept or challenge differences between leaders and subordinates. Okay? So meaning, pag sinabi nating power distance, um, it depends dun sa bigat or sa taas ng position mo if people will accept your leadership or challenge your leadership. So, ibig sabihin, bakit ba siya nagmamatter in the workplace? Kasi it affects leadership styles. Kung magiging autocratic ba yung pamumuno or yung namumuno, magiging participative ba yung mga employees or yung workforce? Pwede ring nakakaapekto rin to sa communication. Kung magiging formal ba or magiging casual yung interaction ng bawat isa, or when it comes to decision making, ano ba yung masusunod? Yung mga top leaders lang ba or pwedeng makipag-collaborate yung mga employees na nasa baba? Now, there are two category of power distance. The first one is high power distance. So, this is the meaning of high power distance. It indicates that a culture accepts inequity and power differences, encourages bureaucracy, and shows high respect for rank and society. So in short, pag sinabi nating high power distance, yung mga tao or yung mga empleyado, um, ina-accept nila yung power na hindi pare-parehas or hindi equal. So meaning, kapag mas mataas yung position mo or um, mas may power ka sa society or sa organization, ikaw yung mas rerespetuhin and hindi ka na kukwestiyonin doon sa mga decision mo. Okay? Kasi nga, halimbawa, manager ka or presidente ka or director ka, vice president ka, since meron kang high power or mataas yung posisyon mo sa kumpanya, employees will become respectful to you and they will not question your decisions. Okay? And ine-expect din ng mga employee kapag high power distance yung organization na merong clear instructions yung mga binibigay ng mga authority. Diba? So for example, sa Asian workplaces, 'di ba? Yung mga staff hindi sila nagdi-disagree sa mga boss, 'di ba? Hindi sila sumasalungat sa mga boss. Kung ano yung sasabihin ng boss nila, yun yung susundin nila. Okay? Kung ano yung direction ng boss, yun yung ifa-follow nila. For example, dito rin sa Philippines, 'di ba, yung mga managers natin or basta mas mataas yung position sa atin, anong tawag natin? Ma'am, sir, kaya miss, 'di ba? Pero kapag ka-level lang natin or parehas lang kayo ng position, you only call your names on a first name basis, 'di ba? Hindi kayo nagkakaroon ng sir or ma'am. Kasi nga nasa parehas na position lang kayo. But kapag mas mataas yung position sa inyo, mas nirerespeto ninyo or natin. Okay? That's what we call high power distance. Okay. So ano ba yung example ng mga high power distance? So ano-ano kaya yung mga bansa na yon? So for example, we have Malaysia. So according to index, so very hierarchical yung Malaysia. So yung mga leaders are expected to be decisive when it comes to decision making. Okay? Another example, we have China. So sa China, ganun din yung relationship nila, yung values nila. So they always follow their leaders. We also have Philippines. So, given yan sa atin, di ba? So, Philippines is, you know what, one of the highest in the world when it comes to high power index. So, we really respect for authority. Another countries na wala dito, yung mga Mexico, so they respect their bosses, their elders. Lalo na yung India din, so part din yun ng social culture nila or ng workplace culture nila. And yung mga Arab countries like Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, so leaders are respected and rarely questioned. Now, next is low power distance. So low power distance means culture encourages flat organizational structures that features decentralized decision making, responsibility, a participative management style, and emphasis on power distribution. So, in short, pag sinabi nating low power distance, people prefer equality and they are open to communication. And leaders in low power distance workplace are approachable and they often treated as one of the team. Okay? So employees are encouraged to share opinions and ideas. So kapag low power distance, everybody are included in the decision making. Walang boss, walang manager, walang supervisor. Everybody has or have a voice to share their thoughts, their ideas, and they are all included in the team. Lahat ay pinapakinggan. So for example, in many Western companies, uh, yung mga workers, they can call their bosses by their first name. So, walang problema doon. Bawa sa Germany, they can call themselves John or Jericho or kaya Gab. So, that's normal to them. They do not need to call their names ma'am, sir, or Mr., Miss. Wala silang ganon. They can call themselves on a first name basis. And they are comfortable giving feedback with one another. Okay? So, ano ba yung mga bansa na part ng low power distance? So, we have, ano ba to? Uh, no, this is not United Kingdom. Australia, we have United Kingdom, we have Switzerland, we have Germany. Okay, so other countries, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Australia, United States, ano pa ba? So those are the countries that are part or belong to low power distance. Next is individualism and collectivism. So, ang focus ng individualism and collectivism is your priorities when it comes to your goals. Okay? So, ano ba yung priority mo when it comes to your goals in the workplace or in the society or in the culture? So, isa-isahin natin. So, first is individualism. So, when we say individualism, class, it is a culture where people prioritize personal goals. You prioritize independence, your rights over other group. So, dito ang focus ay yung sarili mo. Okay? So, you focus on your individual accomplishments. So, ang lagi mong tatandaan kapag individualism, me, myself, and I. Okay? I can work alone. I can finish this alone. Okay? So, I have this achievement. This is my goal. This is my priority. So, the focus is only you, yourself. Okay? Yung kaibahan naman is yung collectivism. So, dito naman, yung kultura naman dito is yung mga tao, they emphasizes group goals, loyalty, and harmony over individual characteristics. So, kung kanina, you focus on I, dito sa collectivism, ang focus mo ay we. Okay? Kasi yung mga society or culture or workplace na ang focus ay collectivism, meron silang strong emphasis sa family, sa community, sa loyalty. Okay? Mas importante sa kanila yung pagsasamahan ng bawat isa kaysa sa kanilang personal achievement. And yung decisions nila are made for the interest ng nakararami, hindi lang ng iisang So, anong tatandaan pag sinabi nating collectivism? Okay? Groupings, loyalty, and they are here for everyone. They are here for everybody. So for the workplace setting, kapag so yun, you can work alone, you can work independently, akin tong project na to, okay, akin tong achievement na to. Pero kapag collectivism, we will succeed together. We will do it by team. Okay? Walang iwanan. We will uh, go up ng sabay-sabay. That's what we call collectivism. Next is masculinity versus femininity. So ano ba yung kaibahan ng dalawa? Pag sinabi nating masculinity class, yung culture na merong mataas na masculinity, ine-emphasize niya yung competition, yung achievement, yung success and materials success. Kasi nga 'di ba pag masculine or men, according to society kapag lalaki ka dapat malakas ka, dapat matibay ka, dapat provider ka. That's why kapag ang isang workplace ay merong masculinity culture, nabubuhay sila para magtrabaho. And there's no other way but to succeed. Okay? Para mas maging magaling, kailangan manalo or kailangan kumita ka ng mas malaki. Okay? And malinaw dito yung gender role na yung lalaki or yung men yung dapat provider. Kapag masculinity, yung workplace ay competitive. Okay? Or nakafocus sa performance, sa result, by numbers. Dapat lagi kang may napuproduce, lagi kang may naiaambag or naisha-share sa culture. Dapat lagi kang may achievement. Okay? So, again, pag masculinity, they are focused to success or promotion, malaking kita or bonuses. But, meron din tayong tinatawag na toxic masculinity. Pag sinabi natin toxic masculinity class, it is um, a term wherein dahil gusto mong maipakita na superior ka, okay, or mas nakakaangat ka, okay, you tend to create actions or challenges among your colleagues so that you can see that you are superior or higher to them. Now, ano yung nagiging effect ng toxic masculinity in the workplace? So, nagkakaroon ng over competition. So, dahil sa gusto mong mas nakakaangat, mas magaling ka, mas madami kang achievement, so nagkakaroon ng over competition na dumadating na minsan na hindi na healthy yung relationships. Okay? Or yung harmonious connection ng bawat isa. And nagkakaroon din ng bullying. Okay? Ikaw kasi, hindi ka kasi magaling, kaya hindi mo na-achieve yung target. O kaya, ang hina mo naman. Ako nga, nagagawa ko yan, mag-isa lang ako. Kaya kong i-achieve yung target mo. O kaya, ano ba naman yan? Magsaserve ka lang ng juice sa guest, hindi mo pa alam yung tamang flavor ng juice na isa-serve mo. So, that's what we call toxic masculinity. Sa kagustuhan natin na mas maging superior, mas maraming ma-achieve, okay, mas maraming mag-success. So, minsan, na-overpower na natin. Okay? That's why nagkakaroon ng toxic masculinity. And yung kaibahan naman ng isa is femininity. Pag sinabi naman nating femininity, so sa society kasi, we mirrored women as being cooperative, caring, empathetic. Okay? So, sa workplace or sa culture, kapag sinabi natin na ang workplace ay merong femininity culture, nag-e-emphasize to ng cooperation, ng quality among your actions, and work-life balance. So, dito kapag femininity, yung workplace, they build good relationships. Okay? Yung gender roles are more fluid. Ibig sabihin may equality. Even kahit saang part ka pa ng LGBTQ+, men or women, you are all equal. Okay? And yung workplace is very collaborative. They are focusing on harmony and consensus. Merong competition, but they compete with one another in a healthy manner. Okay? For example, sa Sweden, yung mga work organizations doon, or yung workplaces doon, they value flexible schedules. Okay, meron silang work from home schedules, meron din naman silang return to office schedules. Meron din silang parental leave, okay? And they also value teamwork over competition. Okay, they achieve or they make sure that everybody achieves success together. Okay, so again, when we say femininity, we focus on teamwork, we focus on collaboration, and merong empathy doon sa organization. Next, uncertainty avoidance. So ano ba yung uncertainty avoidance? So when we say uncertainty avoidance, it only shows whether people prefer clear rules and structure or if they are more flexible and open to change. Kasi nga, in reality, di ba, some of us, we are afraid, ay ano kayang mangyayari bukas? Or what will happen in the future? Okay? Some of us, we are afraid to change. We are afraid to develop. That's why sometimes nagkakaroon tayo ng uncertainty avoidance. Ayaw natin siyang harapin. Now, there are two types of uncertainty avoidance in the workplace. The first one is yung high uncertainty avoidance. Pag sinabi nating high uncertainty avoidance, yung mga organizations or yung workplace, they prefer rules. Meron silang structure. Meron silang stability. Ayaw nila ng risk. Uh, tinatry nila na bawasan yung uncertainty or yung um, what do you call this sa Tagalog? Yung you're not sure on what will happen or hindi mo alam kung anong mangyayari. That's why, dahil pinipigilan nila yung mga uh, future problem or gusto nilang mabawasan yung mga future problem, they created rules, meron silang policies, and meron silang behavior na sinusunod. Okay? Para maiwasan yung mga problema na yon. In short, they are not open to change. They are not flexible. That's why mabagal yung innovation dito sa mga workforce na to or sa mga organization na to kasi they are playing safe. Natatakot silang mag-take ng risk. Okay? Ayaw nilang pabugso-bugso yung mga actions nila or yung mga gagawin nila. Matagal nilang i-accept yung change. So, ano ba yung mga bansa na may mga ganong culture? Ba, like Greece, Japan, France, South Korea, Portugal. So, yon. So, next is low uncertainty avoidance. So, pag sinabi naman nating low uncertainty avoidance, ang tatandaan nyo lang dito, ito yung mga kultura sa isang kumpanya or sa isang workforce kung saan komportable sila na mag-take ng risk. They are flexible and open sila sa change. Hindi sila natatakot na mag-try or mag-innovate. Okay? So, kapag ganito yung organization, kaunti lang yung rules. Yung innovation at saka yung new ideas, laging ine-encourage. Laging gusto nila ng brainstorming. Lagi silang, ang tawag dito, nagde-develop. Okay? And yung mga employees dito sa organizations na to, mabilis silang maka-adapt sa mga unexpected situations. Okay? Kasi nga, they are open to change. They are flexible. Whatever happens, we will adapt. Okay? Ano ba yung mga countries na merong mababa yung uncertainty avoidance? We have Singapore, Denmark, Sweden, US, and India. For example, sa US, yung mga entrepreneur or yung mga startup business, hindi sila natatakot na mag-experiment para sa mga new products. Kahit kahit alam nila na kahit hindi sila sure kung magsasucess ba 'yon. Ang mahalaga, nag-take sila ng risk or sumubok sila. Okay? So next, short term versus long term orientation. Ito naman yung approaches ng organization or ng isang workplace when it comes to their goals and sa pagdidesisyon nila. Mabilis ba silang magdesisyon or matagal silang magdesisyon? So yung una, long-term orientation. Kapag long-term orientation ang focus ng organization, they focuses on the future. Okay? They value perseverance and adaptability. And long-term rewards yung gusto nila. Ayaw nila ng quick results. So, ibig sabihin, matagal silang nagpaplano, matagal silang nagde-decide. They have a lot of researches, feasibility studies, so on and so forth. So, they emphasis on saving and preparing for the future. They save a lot of money, they prepare for the future. Okay? For example, sa Japan, yung mga kumpanya sa Japan, lagi silang nag invest sa employee training and lifelong employment because they believe that stability and long-term growth is a must to each and everybody. So they invest in training, they invest in um, seminars to enhance the skills and capabilities of their team or their employees kasi naniniwala sila na habang tumatagal, habang gumagaling or na-enhance yung skills nila, mas magagamit nila yon in the future para mas mag-innovate at mag-develop yung company nila. And yung isa naman, short-term orientation. Pag sinabing short-term orientation, yung mga kumpanya or yung culture, ang focus nila is yung present and immediate uh, social obligation. Gusto nila merong quick results. Okay? So, they are very concerned with the word saving face. Pag sinabi nating saving face, reputation. Okay, gusto nila na yung reputasyon nila is laging steady or laging makikita, ay okay pala to, maganda pala yung ginagawa nilang actions. They emphasis to quick achievements, yung short-term orientation. So, ibig sabihin, kahit mabilis ang plano, kahit hindi ka pa ready, you give all of your best kasi nga you want to save face, you want to save your reputation. Okay? And last but not the least is yung indulgence versus restraint. Okay? Pag sinabi nating indulgence class, the cultures allow people to express their desires and enjoy life. It focuses on happiness, leisure, and fun. So, people are more optimistic and open-minded. So, they are open to express their opinions, their emotions, and they tend to value enjoying life instead of focusing on mga rules and regulations. In short, kapag sinabi nating indulgence sa workplace, you are free whatever you want to do as long as you can give outputs at the end of the day. And wala kayong masyadong strict or rules na pina-follow. Okay? As long as you are working your uh, job, your responsibilities, you are achieving your targets, then hindi ka kailangang i-micromanage ng boss mo or bantayan from time to time. Best example nito ng indulgence sa Pilipinas, 'di ba, sa workplaces or sa mga organization sa Pilipinas, often na nagse-celebrate tayo ng birthdays ng ating mga empleyado. O kaya meron tayong mga food or gatherings para mas maging relax, maging fun, or ah, light yung environment natin. Nagkakaroon tayo ng team building, nagkakaroon tayo ng recognitions of employees. So, very lenient yung mga rules and regulations. Okay? And yung kaibahan naman niya, yung restraint. Yung restraint, ibig sabihin, sinosuppress or pinipigilan natin yung desires ng isang empleyado or ng isang workforce. Ibig sabihin, meron tayong mahigpit na rules and regulations when it comes to our um, workforce. Meron tayong self-control, merong order, merong mga sinusunod na rules and regulation. And mostly, kapag ganito yung mga workforce, kapag restraint, yung mga nagtatrabaho dito, reserve. Hindi nila ma-express yung sarili nila kasi bawal. Bawal ka mag-share ng thoughts mo, bawal ka mag-share ng ideas mo, or mga seryoso yung mga nagtatrabaho dito. Hindi priority yung leisure or yung fun. Hindi rin masyadong flexible yung workplace. Kung ano yung rules, yun dapat yung susundin. Yung mga restrained countries, example, yung mga China, Russia, Pakistan, Egypt. 'Di ba? Like sa China, yung mga employees doon, they are more reserved. They are not well open when it comes to expressing their emotions. Yung celebrations nila very formal. Merong mga sinusunod na step by step procedure. So maboboring ka talaga. Okay, but it is a case to case basis. It is depend on how you see the workplace. Okay, so that's the different dimensions theory when it comes to workplace or organizations. Thank you very much for listening to our discussion. So I hope nabilang nyo kung ilan yung total ng globo sa ating discussion. So can you comment the number of globes sa ating comment section and iha-heart ko yung nakakuha ng tamang sagot. So for your activity, for your future reference in the future, if you would like to work in a certain organization, you can scan this QR code and you can take the cultural dimension preferences at the workplace examination. Dito makikita nyo saan kaya kayong workplace fit or saang bansa kayo pwedeng magtrabaho na yung principles nyo when it comes to culture and workplace ay magiging aligned or fit. So yan, try nyo yung exam. And kapag nakapag-exam na kayo, you can comment your exam at the comment section. So that's all. Thank you very much for listening and see you on our next lesson.